Hello and welcome to PM Express. My name is Nanan Sakwa. Now this evening we are asking whose name goes where. After a fierce criticism over what turned out to be a solo effort by Accra Mayor Alfred van der Poel to change the name of the national hockey pitch in honor of the late President Mills, the presidency has reacted swiftly. Our Chief of Staff, Prosper Bani, has directed that the mayor reverses the decision and has summoned him to the Flagstaff House to explain why he made such a change without the knowledge of the presidency. But that's just one of the huge problems with our national system of naming. In a matter of just a few years, we have seen changes like Jubilee House to Flagstaff House to Jubilee Flagstaff House. We've seen Accra Sports Stadium to Ohenijan Stadium, and then back to Accra Sports Stadium, and then Kumasi Stadium, changed to Baba Yara Stadium, and a host of them. The N1 highway, constructed with funding from the Millennium Challenge account, was named after George Walker Bush. The Roman Ridge Dimples Road also changed to Olusegun Obasanjo Highway. Tonight on PM Express, we want to find out whose name goes where. What is named after who? What is the formula for naming edifice, streets, or national monuments? Who calls the shot? Should the Accra Major still keep his job? Let us know your thoughts. If you post your comments on Facebook, just go to Facebook and find Joy News, post your comments there, and then we'll share it out. With me to discuss these intriguing topics is to my immediate left, Obi Amwa, former Deputy Minister of Sports and also an MP?
Yes, I'm MP, Ekwapim South.
And honorable member for Ekwapim South, MP. And then to our extreme left is Fred Agbonyo, who is a member of the NDC communication team. Fred, you're welcome.
Thank you, bro.
Fred, let me start with you. I mean, what informed the mayor's decision, apart from goodwill? Was there anything else? Intended goodwill?
Well, and I thank you very much, and let me say good evening to our viewers. I thought that question should have been directed at the mayor himself. He did a change, and he would have been the best person to tell us why he decided to change the name to which other name he was given to the place. Nana, I must state that I am a bit disappointed about this current development, where some persons in some positions thought that they can just get up by themselves and start naming things after people without any consultation, without people sitting down to think through and ask who is really deserving of what, and they just do it. I remember when Professor Mills passed on, just a few days after, I heard a street has been named after Professor Mills. The next moment, a school he last visited has been named after him. And I went on radio I think that very day. I said, what is this that is happening? Should it be that somebody sits in his office and because he has some relation with the president or the late president, he decides what must be named after the president? It's not the case that we must sit down as a people, as maybe an executive or a committee set up to look at what is more befitting, because we cannot have a situation where a mayor in Accra thinks that, oh, because President Mills did ABCD in Accra, let's name this after him. Then this chief executive sees somewhere maybe in my district in Hohwe and says that, oh, President Mills did something in Hohwe, let me also name it after him. Somebody says in Upper East, Upper West. What will happen eventually? What signal, what impression really do you want to get from that? Mm-hmm. Because my understanding is that you name things after people so that the future generation will come up and say, why this name? Who is this person? Something very symbolic, something that when they mention, people want to know why it is him and not any other person. But the situation where somebody just gets up one day and wants to name things, really I'm very appalled. I think that it's unacceptable, and I'm sorry and shy to say that kind of populism, it doesn't make any sense to me really, and I condemn it in all certain terms. That is not the way we are supposed to go about things. I have heard a few things on radio, people trying to equate NDC to MPP. The MPP came, they did a few things, even our very currency, some changes were made to our currency, some new the so-called big six were brought onto it. Even if you consider the very historical antecedent, how the big six came into being, how come that suddenly some people must take glory in that? Those are arguments that we can make on another day. You go to the very airport runabout, a statue has emerged over there with the big six over there. You travel somewhere, you sit down, you travel somewhere, you see BHB, you travel somewhere. Is it the case that a particular regime of, assumed office, and okay, let us also honor people who are from our stock?
Do they have to apologize that they found independence?
Which people?
The big six.
Well, you know, if I'm sure that now you and I know the history, how all those came about. I am not about going to those really, but
so what I'm trying to say is that, I mean, the big six happened to find get independence for Ghana, and they happen to belong to.
That is very debatable, and you and I know that. That's very debatable. Like I said, I am not interested in really going to all those, but it's very debatable as to if the big six really got independence for us, or some members within the big six even stood against the very independence that we won. Those are issues that we can discuss maybe another day. If you decide to table that for discussion, we can discuss. Some people were against it. People took glory because Nkrumah was arrested, and they were also cited to be part of it. All of them end up in jail. They came out. Even some people, when they came out from the jail, they said, yeah, we're not part of it. It was Nkrumah. Go and all those things are there. We don't want to go into those issues. The point I'm making is that
because if we go by our analysis, nobody will ever be glorified.
No.
Yeah, if we go by those analysis, nobody will ever be glorified.
People will be glorified. The point I'm trying to make it is that MPP must not come to power, then quickly they start identifying people from their stock and want to glorify them and name things after them. NDC must not come to power and also start looking for people from their stock and start naming things after them. Our society must identify people who have distinguished themselves, people who have done things for this country. Then we want to honor them. Whether we like it or not, several people have fought in terms of boxing. I'm using sports as an example. Several boxers have come and gone, but when you mention the name Azuma Nelson, he goes beyond just Ghana. He goes beyond just Africa. And the world has even recognized his contribution to the boxing. So if you name a thing after him, that will not become an NDC and MPP issue. This is somebody who is so distinguished in his own field.
Okay, Fred, let me bring Obi in here. Obi, I mean, first of all, what informs naming of a stadium or of a street? You know, are there any technicalities that you can go through? You can just, depends on which side of the bed you wake up and decide, well, that's it.
Well, as far as I'm aware, during the era of MPP, between 2003 2004, the then ministry set up a committee chaired by the Deputy Minister, Joe Agri, and then other prominent members, especially the sporting fraternity, to submit a report on how to recognize and then eulogize more or less our patrons or competitors who have done very well as far as sports was concerned. It took the committee some time. They did a lot of work, submitted their report to the minister. The minister took it to cabinet, and then the cabinet, with the president involved, endorsed it. So that's how come we had Ohinijan Stadium, Babayara Stadium, Azuma Nelson Complex at Kaneshie, CK Jemfi Academy at Winneba, Theodore Okon hockey pitch. That time it wasn't a stadium, hockey pitch at the ECG. And then we stands, I mean, at Tamani Hall, etc., etc. So that is what informed the then ministry to undertake that exercise. So as far as the ministry was concerned, that was what it could do to honor our sports heroes and heroes. And the cabinet endorsed it, the presidency endorsed it. Now you ask the question, what emboldened the AMA to change the name? I think the AMA was emboldened by the fact that in 2009, this assembly chaired by Honorable Okuvandapoi purported to have passed a resolution to change the name of Ohinjan Stadium to Accra Stadium. It was hue and cry. Some of us questioned the authority, the moral right, the legal right, etc. But we didn't hear anything from the government. Some of us were wondering, we were saying that, does it mean that the facility is on Accra land, so AMA can pass a resolution and change the name of the facility when it's a state asset, when it's a national asset? And we went far to say that if that was the case, then KMA will also meet, pass a resolution and say that we've changed the name of Babayara. I was saying that if I had enough resources, I should be able to convince my assembly, the Ekwapim South District Assembly, to name Pediatric Lodge after me. So that when I'm dead and God, everybody will say OB Lodge, and they will even wonder how it became OB Lodge. I don't think we should do things that way. And if we have to zoom into sports, all sporting facilities and the National Sports Authority, it's by law, SMCD 54 1976. It hasn't changed. All sporting facilities, they are either built or maintained through the National Sports Authority. So if for any reason the government wanted to change the name of any sports facility, it has a chain. Maybe the Sports Authority will recommend, it goes to the Ministry of Sports, it gets to Cabinet with the President involved, and then it's announced to the whole world. Probably even ask the Attorney General to get it gazetted. It becomes part of our law. Nobody can do anything about it. So if for any reason the government felt that they had to honor President Mills by changing the Tudor Hockey Stadium to Professor Mills Stadium, I think that if they had gone through this process, people will complain that, why have you changed the name? The woman is still alive. She's done very well for hockey. Indeed, she's done very well for hockey. She popularized the sport. I mean, she had a whole team, but even to get ladies to be involved in hockey, and then to even secure that site, because it was just a dumping place and he wanted to use it for other things. But she insisted that that place should at least be reserved for hockey. It was just a mere pitch. But as time went on, it was developed to that stage where in 2008, we had to bid for the hosting of the African Cup of Nations, Hockey Africa Cup of Nations. And then proposed that we should have 2 stadia, one in Accra, one in Kumasi, to popularize hockey. When we were leaving office, we still had several meetings with the incoming administration, especially given the fact that the National Hockey Association, chaired by Okojani, was still in place. They spearheaded it. The government bought into the idea. We had even budgeted for it in the Appropriations Act the last 3 months when we were leaving office. The government took it up and the whole stadium was built. That's how come we have the hockey stadium. But nobody has changed the name. From the pitch to the stadium, everybody knows it that you do Soko. So if the government wanted to change it, the government could have used the legal means to do it, except that people will say, morally, is that right? The person has been honored, the person is still alive, and then you decide to change it because you think that overnight you should do it. That was the excuse the MA gave. They want to, our contribution for the first year commemoration of the death of the president is that we are, by resolution, renaming the Tudor Stadium to Atamil Stadium. That's what happened. And so the question was, did they have the right to do it? And if you were to allow it, then every edifice could be changed. The name of every we wake up overnight, Bank of Ghana is gone. Kotoka International Airport is gone. A lot of people have even saying that, why do you still have the name Kotoka? It's cool, maker, blah, blah, blah. But specifically even with Kotoka, there's a law backing it. There's a law, NLC law backing the Kotoka monument, Kotoka Airport, everything.
Is it because of the airline and registered internationally, or?
No, not the airline, the airport. I mean, given the circumstances under which Kotoka died, the then government, which he was part of, decided to honor him, and they passed a whole law as to his contribution, how to honor him, etc., and even named the airport after him.
But let me bring Fred here. Fred, the damage is already done?
Well, I'm not too sure it's done. I'm very happy that the seat of the president has taken this issue up themselves, and they've invited the mayor to appear before them. They've asked that he quickly reverse it. We don't want to create these controversies. I'm very sad. Professor Mills died as a peaceful man, as a peacemaker. Everybody's elogizing him as such. So you don't throw him in this kind of controversy.
But isn't it amazing that the one person who is supposed to be a very, very good friend of Professor, he brought him from America. So if everybody should know, anybody should know who the professor is or what he was like, it should be Van der Poel. Yesterday I had Nilante here. Nilante was talking about how even the woman that he buys roast plantain from, he gave the woman 1,000 cedis to expand your business. He buys bread from a woman and gave the woman 2,000 cedis, expand your business. I mean, is this a man who would want to say, change this lady's name and put my name on there? No, but you see, Oko Van der Poel should, even if I didn't know, Oko Van der Poel should know.
Well, unfortunately, this morning when I heard him, he didn't even know that the woman was a hockey player.
No,
only got to know that she designed the national flag. But she didn't know that she was very prominent as far as the sport of hockey was concerned.
So which is most regrettable, because before you do everything, one would have expected that you take pain, you investigate, you look around, you talk to people. My understanding is that even before they even named that particular stadium, that the woman, after the woman, Professor Mill even had a role in it. She even recommended that, the woman has done so well, so they should name that particular pitch after her. So why should anybody come and change it now and create this controversy when the prof is no more there? I think that, like I've always said, this is not NDC MPP issue. People must be responsible when they are given position of responsibility. They must do things well. They must cross-check. They must find out. They must constitute bodies. You don't get up on your own and take decisions just like that.
Even though reports are saying that President T acted swiftly, I find it hard because this guy called a press conference. It was in the wires yesterday that he was going to do this. He calls a press conference, makes sure everybody is there and says everything. And it's only this evening that the presidency says reverse it. I mean, if we had kept quiet, does it mean the presidency wouldn't have reacted?
No, but the point of the issue is that the media is part of the governance system of our country. The media is talking about it. You are the watchdogs. You know about these things. There's a president also came into office. Quite recently, we have the chief of staff. Everybody, they are doing other things. This is a mayor. We have oversight responsibility about over Greater Accra.
Very good, Obi. This is a mayor. Now, my issue I have here is the N1. Car dealers are now coming back onto the N1. The flyover is now overgrown. Yeah. Even though we are paying 20 million cedis a month to Zoom Lion, we are filthier than it is before. I mean, is this part of the mayor's job to rename? I don't know. You've been in government before.
Well, not necessarily. When it comes to street naming and property naming, there's a whole unit which considers such situations. And incidentally, only 2 assembly members are even supposed to be part of the unit, because you have the chair of the planning committee, chair of the other aspects, subcommittee, then maybe a few members of the assembly. So there's a whole committee which even decides on these things. Not just that we wake up and then the street has been named after Obiamwa, or property has been named after Obiamwa. There's a committee which does that. So even in the assembly, they know that under the planning system, they should know how to go about naming streets and then, properties. So it's not that, as I'm saying that, I believe that because in 2009 he changed the name of Hinijan to Accra Stadium, and overnight went to put a big signboard, the Accra Sports Stadium, and then the government didn't react. So he had assumed that then, why not? And then, unfortunately, it's the sporting facilities that he thinks that he can always attack, because the other edifices, he should go around changing them.
But I'm not cutting you short on that particular issue about the renaming of Accra Sports and what have you. I thought that NPP government didn't do well in that particular area.
Why?
I am not against them naming somebody who is not a gun after a stadium in Accra. It's a national asset. I have no difficulty. But to what extent did we do consultation? Did we carry the people along? We are now in this country. We heard the guns agitating. They asked several questions at the time. Does it mean that we didn't have any gun who did so much sports that we could name the stadium after? How come that they have to pick somebody and what have you? The argument I'm making is that when you are doing things like this,
so people in Kumasi too should be
good.
about
So
Babayara.
yes, But
That wasn't the essence of it.
But for this, I'm sure
Otherwise,
people in
then
Kumasi too would have raised similar
The
concerns.
Tetekwashi Memorial Hospital should not be there. That shouldn't be the essence
No,
of
honorable,
it.
you see, unfortunately, I really would have wished all of us
But
see ourselves as
did a lot of contribution.
Director of sports.
Especially
First
to
director of
girls.
sports.
Ohinijan. I mean, my
Yes.
memory says that he did a lot of contribution, i.e. bringing girls into sports.
It
And
is
he couldn't
sad.
even say that maybe he was of the UP stock. He was a CPP man.
No,
So for you to probably
yeah.
to even think that maybe you are honoring your own. Well, he was typical CPP man. People even didn't know where he was coming from. He's a Kapium man. But some said, oh, you go and bring Ashanti man and come and name him after Accra edifice. We should grow and go beyond that. That's why I was very happy that Kumasi Stadium was named after Baba Yara. We have new facilities. We haven't named them. Esipon, that's where it's cited. Tamale, that's where it's cited. We can name persons after these things, personalities. You go to places, personalities are named. The argument that Okubanapo and Co were making was that if you say Ohinijan Stadium, the name Accra is lost. But I don't understand it. Who will mention Ohinijan Stadium outside this country will not add Accra to it? Otherwise, where would a person know where the stadium is? Obviously, to be Ohinijan Stadium, Accra. Nobody in Zambia will write about Ohinijan Stadium and assume that everybody knows Ohinijan Stadium. He has to add Accra, Ghana. And we in Ghana, when we say Ohinijan Stadium, we know it's Accra. So if you say the name Accra will be lost, that's why you should change it to Accra Sports Stadium. Then I'm telling you that Kotoka International Airport is where everybody lands. Change it to Accra Airport so that everybody, when you go to Joburg, is it South Africa Airport or Johannesburg Airport? No. But once you mention Oliver Tambo or anything, you add the city to it. And if we don't grow out of it, I mean, I don't think we should be spending much time on this. The only thing we need to do is probably going forward, learning our lessons. Let's have a law that will specify some of these things. They pass it through Parliament. Let everybody understand it. Because it can be abused. Elsewhere, in America, people are even complaining that in some states, people are abusing it, using money to get their names on almost everything. And here they are complaining. But if we have standards, certain standards, then they were complaining that somebody like George Washington, he was honored 89 years after he had died. But in recent times, every politician wants his name attached to a property. And if you don't curtail it, then that is how it will come.
We see, but we go back, we look at Flagstaff House to Jubilee House. Then it was Jubilee Flagstaff House, and then I think now it's
House was Jubilee Flagstaff House.
You know, I think we become so divided that whichever party comes in, that don't even use a name that was initiated by the other party, and that's why we end up here.
You see, Nana,
I
always say
who were
that
named after the sporting facilities, they were not political figures, especially from the UP
now
stock.
you just veered from
Azuma Nelson complex.
you just veered off from the sports to like a thing like the Flagstaff House. I thought, now they call it. We call it now.
you did your letterhead, Jubilee Flagstaff House.
No,
and then you had to change.
No, the point I'm making is that all of us must grow out of these things. We must see Ghana as our country. I think, sincerely speaking, without being very partisan, the way and the manner the MPP went about some of these things didn't help things.
Like which
It
ones?
gave cause to people
examples.
to complain. It is true that Nkrumah, whichever way, we all know the history around the Flagstaff House, how that name came into being, who lived there, blah, 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 and all that. Nkrumah finally lived there. Where Nkrumah was living to, took over that name. When finally you rebuilt the whole place, and you thought that we must change the name, to what extent do we carry the people along? What did we educate the people? Did we let people understand that yes, we agree this because until recently when the name was changed from the Flagstaff House to the Jubilee House and back to the Flagstaff House, that people started finding out what happened. Where did the name really emanated from? The people got to know that really the name was not even from Nkrumah, and the name was there even before Nkrumah came. You know, so if the NPP are taking pain to explain some of these things and got a lot of people to understand, I'm sure.
They didn't even want to occupy the place. So
no, that's not, but honorable. Really, I don't want us to be partisan on this issue. But some of this that we all of us have done to ourselves.
Let's stay with the name.
Yeah.
Let's stay with the name right here. Let's stay with the name. But I mean, My understanding was they changed it from Flagstaff House to Jubilee House to bring it into the modern terms. And then it went back to Flagstaff House because that was what was original. And then Jubilee Flagstaff House.
No, but that one was just a mistake that quickly was corrected. That one didn't last for within a day.
The other letterheads of Jubilee Flagstaff.
There was no letterhead.
No, that is how come you got to know. Because the letter was written from the presidency with the letterhead Jubilee Flagstaff House.
It was not on a letterhead. It was written on a letter, but that was the name I was given to. I saw that letter myself too. But that is not the issue that we want to discuss this evening, really.
Well, we just discussing the names, because...
You see, for instance, look at a place like Sankara Circle. We all again know how that name came into being. Sankara really may not have any relevance to the Ghanaian society, but that was a name the majority of us young people, tractor drivers, taxi drivers, got to know. Everybody was in it. Suddenly we woke up one day, the name has changed to something else. Is it Kentucky Terrier? I am not saying Kentucky Terrier is not relevant. Very prominent king among the guns. He deserves to be named after something. But the way and the manner it came. So somebody thought that this is a political tradition that has come into office. Let us also do something.
Okay, guys, let me take a break now, and then when we come back, we need to see if we can find a formula for naming, edifices, and maybe should we take it out of the politicians and find a department that does the naming so that no political party can touch it. And also, when you wake up tomorrow morning, do you still want Okovandapo to be the mayor? Come onto Facebook, look for Joy News, and post your comment there, and we'll share. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, and we are talking about, what name goes where, what informs changing the name of an edifice, or what informs even naming. What do you even have to do? What's the yardstick to say that, no, Nana Sakwa, because you did X amount of, I don't know what, because of that, you are allowed to get your name onto this. Because then otherwise, oh no, he didn't do that much, he did this much, and then there's always an argument. But then the whole thing is, oh, I'm not happy with how the MPP named these guys. I'm not happy with how the NDC did this. He woke up one morning and changed it to Accra. Oh no, he woke up one morning and changed it to Big Sis. Should we give it to an independent body to do the naming so that we are guaranteed that once an edifice is named, it stays there forever? And then my question is, the mayor, maybe he's got too much time on his hands. And that's my position. Yes. That's my position. Has he got too much time on his hands? Let me answer that question. Has he got too much time on his hands?
Before I come to that particular issue, you see, we shouldn't create the impression as though people didn't do some of these things consciously. Again, reluctantly, I'll refer to the MPP time. When they came, of the big six, all the five that we have in there, they consciously tried to name something after them. We have done Kwanseke, we have
was there.
No,
I mean, when okay, I was a kid in Accra, everybody knew that.
Can I go? Akufo-Addo Circle quickly came in. Obichebi Circle quickly came in.
You didn't know Obichebi Lamte Circle when we were kids. When I was a kid in Accra, in the 70s, early 70s, they had Obichebi Lamte.
If you allow me to.
So don't get the impression that it's every people who brought the Obichebi.
When they came, if their name were there, they even built statues there, everything well designed to. You understand? Why didn't you at the time also remember people like Liman? Why didn't you after Liman when in office? Your administration. I am not blaming you alone. When people were in office, they were naming things after your people. And were renewing people from your stock. And you were renewing others and putting up statues and the rest. One would have expected that, okay, what about Liman? Let's assume that
as far as Liman is concerned, I think both parties have dealt him a hard blow.
Seriously,
not necessarily just I think both.
No,
I think the nation.
I agree.
The nation has dealt him a hard blow.
The nation, I remember.
The nation.
It's the new hall at University of Ghana, Liman Hall. Even that was built during our time.
No, but recently, that hall was completed recently.
Completed when?
Recently.
Get fund money build that get fund that we established. Get fund that we established.
It's not
money.
Get fund.
It was loan from the bank.
That was even that particular
those facilities. Go and check.
Whatever
when they were cutting the sword, I was there.
Whatever that. Until recently, really, that they named that thing after him. Then when you go to his hometown around Golu area, there, that they named one other primary school or so after Liman. We didn't have anything.
You go and
If
check.
MP, the time MP came into office, they open up. Let's reach out to people from other traditions.
How old is Obichi?
No, I agree. When NDC came to office,
how old is Dankwa Circle? Go and check.
When NDC came to office, if for nothing at all,
Buzia Circle anywhere.
After he was a person who can I land on this issue?
Let me
just
land on
this.
this.
At least when we came into office, like I said, I disagree completely with the way the mayor is going about the naming of things, what have you. But when he came into office, Rollins is there. We didn't do anything about Rollins. We didn't name anything after Rollins. We even went back to the CBP days. We thought that Nkrumah needed some befitting something, even his birthday becoming a holiday and everything. No, I'm not shifting it anywhere really. The point I'm making is that all of us must gradually come to a point. How do we want to name things? Is it because Honorable Mia Abua must be named after something because from MPP or NDC or whatever? We must look at what has he done. Is he deserving of it? What do we name after him? That people can come and when it is mentioned, they can say, oh, is that so? Yeah, the man really deserves it.
Fred,
that should be
Fred,
it.
I don't think anybody is against honoring anyone, even if they did something very, very small. I think the issue is dropping somebody's name and putting somebody's there. That becomes, that's what muddy the waters.
All of us have said it is wrong. The presidency have said it is wrong. They've asked the mayor to reinstate the former name, and they've invited him to come and explain why he has to do that. All of us said it is wrong. That woman, let's even assume without admitting that she didn't even play any hockey at all. To the extent that she designed our national flag, she deserves to be named after something. She can't be named after the flag, so something else must be identified and named after. So if they decide to name after the hockey pitch, what is the problem with it? And in this case, she contributed so much. She identified the site and all that. To the extent that even Professor Mills himself, when he was living, then in opposition, even had his voice with that, let us name that place after the woman. So the mayor cannot just get up one day and decide, I'm going to name that place after Professor Mills. Nobody will accept a thing like that.
Well, that's my leading question. That's my leading question, which you seem to agree with me, that the guy has got too much time on his hands.
No, I don't think that we should throw people out of their office only because they've made one mistake or the other. We should correct them, but we should understand that because this woman that we are talking about is from a family. She has children.
You still think he should keep his job?
Well, if she's doing his job well, it is not because of this renaming that we should change him. I don't think we should change him. Unless, of course, you have other reasons why you think that should be changed.
Without being personal, I remember very well. There was an incident in Accra, and then we were told that the mayor had been called to the castle to see the president, or sensitivity for the president to complain about what he had done. Eventually, when he came back and he was on air, he created the impression that it was rather the president who was apologizing to him.
Yeah, I remember.
You remember that thing?
That's true.
And nobody said anything about it. So if you're not careful, you create such things because of the way you handle them. And I still maintain that because of the way we handled it, if the government indeed wanted to change even Ohinijan to Accra Stadium, the government should have been bold to come out and say that we are doing it. They shouldn't have left it in the hands of Okuvadapoy to say that he had done it. That's how come he felt bold that if a whole Accra Stadium have managed to change the name, what this hockey stadium just at the corner here. If the government wanted to change it from Ohinijan to Accra, the government should have gone ahead, giving reasons and showing even the Gazette that they want to Gazette to do it. But they left it with AMA boss. He did it. We complained, the government didn't say anything. Or he pretended to have done it. And overnight we saw the new signboard. So if he's doing Chirosoko, he will assume that he's got the authority and the power, No, but unfortunately, that's how we are celebrating or commemorating the first year of the death of Professor Mills. It's quite unfortunate.
I have a couple of comments on Facebook. This is from Kennedy Asaribe. Who says, Mayor Okuvadapoy should go and build his own page, name it to former president or anyone he wishes to honor. Yeah. This man has becoming unbecoming, and I won't say the rest. It says this one is from Banasco Kwabna Abansaki. Seems to be getting everything wrong. The mayor should resign with immediate effect. Ibrahim says, I think UDS should be named after Jerry Rawlings. We should not wait for him to die before we name it after him. Honorable Kwabna Abraham says, I think this is a mere petty mistake. It does not call for him to exist. He shares your idea. And then Samuel McCoy, this shows...
Assembly, special emergency meeting.
No, Banana, you remember when
mistake.
UDS, for instance, wanted to honor former President Rawlings. All of us in this country know the role former President Rawlings played in the building of that very institution. You know what the NPP did at the time?
What did the
They
NPP
made
do?
sure that thing never
You
came
see how
to
it
pass.
was. What did the NPP
No,
do?
Banana, but we were in office, you know what happened?
No, what did
The
the
thing
NPP
was
do?
announced, it was advertised in the papers that we were going to honor President Rawlings. The next moment, a directive had come from nowhere. The Vice Chancellor, those are the words of the Vice
I
Chancellor.
have an insert. Let's watch it and then we'll continue our discussion from there.
Everybody at that time knew I'm the only one who has done it. It isn't a new thing. It's old. I don't know any hockey stadium. All I know is my hockey pitch. That's how I call it. I never knew you've named it a stadium or anything. Because I dug the ground and put everything in, and I got people to help me to build it up. But I don't talk about it because I did it for the country, so I don't mind whether they know it or don't know it. I used to play. I went to Achimota after I've taught for some time. I know that the mayor never knew anything about this thing. And so if he is now the mayor and he wants to name it after anybody, I don't have anything. I'm not a Gantu. If my name is on it, or if my name is not on it, what do I get? The only thing I get is people coming to play and I have time to go and watch them. It's your plan. So I have nothing to say to it. Don't change anything. What you've done, you've done it. But those who know and those I brought, the foreign people I brought to play here, know, they know. So it doesn't matter. I'm a Ghanaian. So I know people who look after land and everything. And everything I do in this country, if it has to go on paper, I go. Otherwise, I go there and ask permission before I do everything. That place, we had both sides from Shire Hills, both sides from that place, and they decided they will bring the both side down. And when they brought it, they can't carry it. There's nowhere to let it come to this side. So they dug a big tunnel from Government Boys School. You can see the remnants there underground to the coast. You see? And when they dug the place, the soil came to the top. And the place was marshy. Nobody could walk on it. If you are from medical stores, you can't cross even to PWD. You see? So nobody liked the place. So I went to the government and begged. I said, I like it. He said, what are you going to do with it? I said, I want to promote this game, and you have nowhere to go. And sometimes you play on any place there's a space. So they gave it to me. And the only thing they told me was that I shouldn't build houses. So I said, okay. Then I got my people, we got not government to, those who were doing hockey, and Ohinijan to come and help us. And we started clearing the place. And when we finished everything and we had every ground dug, we asked SCC to come and level it and grade it for us. And that's how we got it. Hockey, when I stopped playing hockey, we were not born.
So now that you are hearing all this, how does it make you
No,
feel
it's
like all
only
your
these days that I'm hearing it, because Well, I've been here, so very often I go there to watch things and so on. But everything was going on very nicely. You see, it's only now that those who want to claim it are claiming it. But with me, I've done my part. It's you people to do your part so that I'll be in the audience.
So is it the dream you had that hockey will grow to this extent?
It's not a dream. It's not a dream. I thought about it. I didn't dream because I didn't sleep.
Now, I'll read a little excerpt here. Mrs. Theodosia Oko says, though credited for giving Ghana her identity by creating the national flag, Mrs. Theodosia Oko is perhaps the most astute female sports administrator in Ghana's 50-year history. Whatever she did meticulously, earning her name Joan of Arc. She ensured that hockey gained firm roots in the schools and colleges during her tenure as the chairperson of the Ghana Hockey Association. Under her administration, hockey also earned international recognition, with the national team competing in almost all continental competitions. It was also under her tenure that young ladies began showing immense interest in the sport, culminating in the formation of the female national team. Long after she returned from her position, she remained with the sport, honored as the patron of the Sports Writers Association of Ghana. The modest national hockey pitch in Accra is a symbol of her achievement as a sports administrator who pushed to ensure that the sportsmen and women had the needed input to excel. We're going to have a quick break, and then when we come back, we do. Right. Well, with me in the studio, Fred Agbanyo, Obi Amoa, talking about what names goes where and when and how, and all the brouhaha over the hockey stadium. Now, this is a release from the presidency, and since the presidency has directed the chief executive of Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Alfred Okovandapoy, to reverse the decision to change the name of the national hockey pitch. According to the information released to the Flagstaff House Press Corps, the presidency was not aware of the decision to change the name from Theodosia Oko Hockey Stadium, and has thus directed the reversal of the decision forthwith. The AMA chief executive was summoned to the presidency over the decision, taken without recourse to the presidency. The Accra Metropolitan Assembly, at an emergency meeting on Tuesday, voted to rename the facility, which had been named after the designer of the flag of Ghana, Madame Theodosia Oko. According to the decision, the edifice was to be renamed after the late Professor John Evans Atta Mills. Now, what I'm saying is, with all the fires, now those of you who follow multimedia, those of you who know that I am on the Super Morning Show, I asked the mayor that since he became mayor, how many markets have burnt down in Accra? All I was trying to say was that after the 4th, 5th, 3rd fire, what have we put in place to make sure that the 5th, 6th, 7th fire don't happen? So that if it's illegal wiring, let's disconnect it. If it is lack of access, let's clear access, or put polytanks in there so that there can be water for the fires to stop. And he got angry with me, so I'm sure you know that I'm the mayor's best friend by now. What I'm saying, with all these things happening now in Accra, should this be the mayor's emergency meeting? Because as of now that we speak, there are still wires that are, illegally wired up, markets that are illegally wired up because they haven't gotten to it yet. Don't you think he's got more on his plate than this emergency meeting on Tuesday? Calling the press?
I'm very excited. You have brought this up for discussion, and all of us are discussing it. This is one issue that we should play politics with. I think that people, when you are given a responsibility, you are given a task, sit back, ask yourself, what can we do? What will benefit the people? You don't move around creating controversy every now and then. If you want to even do something that you perceive to be right, that you know that a lot of people will not understand Get them along, educate them, talk to them, explain things to them. You don't just get up one day and take a decision. You go and meet some 50 people, you sit somewhere in a room somewhere and take a decision, and that becomes binding. I think that I am worried that the mayor, I don't know if you even have mayors in Ghana really, but we are getting, he's getting himself involved in this controversies every now and then. It is not too helpful. There are too many things that happen in Accra that we should focus attention on. Gutters are choked, felt we can't talk about it. There's too many problems that we should really be talking about than renaming, rebranding, and these things. To what end, really?
Obi, you've been in government before, and and this is my personal position. I'm very quite opinionated, and I just feel that this guy had a lot on his plate to focus on rather than this. I mean, you look at the lady, his achievement, his work done, and he's alive. And he just wakes up one morning and says, "Oh, I've changed the name." The president calls and says, "Oh, don't change the name." So you go back to her and say, "Oh no, we haven't changed the name." The damage is done.
The president has reversed it, and probably he would have to be asked to apologize, and then that would be a warning to him. Reprimand him. What the president has done is an open reprimand. I mean, we cut to size. Tuguba will tell you, "Do you know your size now?" So he now knows his size. And obviously, once the presidency has come out openly that it's been reversed, the whole world has come to know who really has the authority.
When are we going to get into the culture of, especially you politicians, saying that, you know what, I goofed here, there's my job, I'm going? I mean, I just give you a little example where a mayor in New York's his street got plowed just before the main street. But by the time the plow gets to the main street, an old lady's dropped, falling down on the snow. And that's it, not on your watch. So he has to resign. He didn't ask the plow to even plow his road. But
before Obiama comes in, I think that we can credit the mayor. He has done a few good things,
No, I'm not saying that. The fact that you done a
issue
few...
of resignations. There was one head of state, not in Ghana, of course, who always had your appointment letter and your resignation letter. He wanted to fire you, caused you to sign, and then to be released that if you resigned. So probably when we hear more people resigning, that culture would then get imbibed in us. Some would have to be forced to resign, not voluntarily. Some would be forced. The typical example was Malam Issa. I was in the middle of it because when he had agreed to resign and the statement had gone out, the following morning he went on air that he hadn't resigned. And he was forced to resign. So the president had to come back and say, then you are fired.
You see, because Fred, so you and I don't demand accountability. And that's why maybe politicians stay sometimes a bit longer than they should. Because, I mean, you read some of these things and, blatant mismanagement, really blatant.
No,
but the top guy still stays.
And I am not too excited. You see, when you do these things, it is not about you alone. Now, even the president himself is dragged into it. The entire government has been dragged into it. The entire political has been dragged into it. That is why one would have expected that before you take a decision like this, you sit back, you analyze, you investigate, you talk to a few more people, because the woman was not just named after that particular facility.
She worked for it.
Unless, of course, she wants to, maybe didn't even know that they've named the place after anybody. So what about the other 50 people who were there before the voting took place? Nobody knew that particular facility has been named after.
Did he consult the sports minister? Or does it mean the sports minister didn't matter?
You understand? So
because that difference is under the sports ministry.
Really. And that should have been a decision taken by the sports ministry, not the mayor necessarily. That should have been consultation with the mayor and blah blah. We alone cannot go about naming a school at what's the name, Mamprobi, a street somewhere. The next moment, a hockey. You can't be doing that. Executive must sit down. A committee set up. Our president is dead. What is befitting? Long before now, Ghana we've been practicing democracy for all these years. Honorable is a member of parliament. Until recently, even now, they still don't have offices. It has taken Professor Mills to say that, listen, this thing cannot continue. Let us try and finish up the job 600. That project is almost completed. This is a man who came almost 2 universities. He has established them. They've not completed them though, but yes, work has started, students have been recruited, people are schooling over there. So we need a committee to sit there and say, what do we name after him? You don't just get up from your office one day, meet a few people, take a decision, we have named somebody gets up.
Finish the Cape Coast Stadium and name it after him.
You understand? There's several other things. Let's build more a name. I don't disagree at all. They are going to.
But see, moving forward, should we now set up like a national committee that does naming and honoring, that's devoid of politics?
It's long overdue.
An institution that recognizes and awards.
The sports ministry took that step. I was hoping that other ministries would even follow.
The tourism ministry should be in the forefront of things like that. The tourism ministry. All this is tourism. You name a place, they know the historical background.
National House of Chiefs.
Yeah, they should collaborate. Maybe the two institutions.
We even have Monuments Board.
But that's right.
Theirs are for historical facilities, etc. But they could all be brought on board.
Board from a committee.
Advice.
A national committee, bipartisan. Then we know that yes, like we are saying, Kotoka International Airport. There are several people who give you their reasons why they also think that even though it is enshrined in our laws, that Kotoka should not be
as for that argument here, even Kwame Nkrumah said Kokra, you get somebody who will say no because I don't agree with the ideology. So as for those reasons, there's always somebody who doesn't agree why somebody should be. So it doesn't really hold.
So let's set up a committee. It shouldn't be that political parties coming to office and some 2-3 people say somewhere, oh, this was taken by NDC, we don't like it, we are changing it. MPP come, we don't like it, we are changing it. I don't think it's
apology or resignation. What do you think?
Strong apology.
Apology or resignation?
Strong apology.
Those are the politicians for you. I'm going for straight resignation. But thanks for staying tuned. My name is Nanan Sakwao. Tomorrow, you know what, we'll be back here to do it all over again. I'm talking to Reverend Akwesi Sapong. Whoa, what a man. You need to listen to him.